Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Sunday Night Stock Zoom call. I hope you had a productive last week and you're having a powerful weekend. Looking forward to a prosperous upcoming week. Family, this is not financial advice. This Zoom is for entertainment, education, and excitement and empowerment so that you can make your own personal financial choices. All financial decisions made by viewers should be done after talking with a licensed professional. Happening this week in the market, Monday. Zoom has its earnings report. SD Lauder will pay dividends. On Tuesday of this week, CrowdStrike has its earnings report. NVIDIA, McDonald's, as well as eBay, they will all pay dividends. On Wednesday, September the 1st, Chewy Inc. Has its earnings report, as well so as Home Depot will pay its stockholders dividends. On Thursday of this week, DocuSign, they will have their earnings report. Bank of America, as well so as Pepsi Cola, will pay dividends to its shareholders. Friday, BlackRock and Ross Stores and Equifax will all pay dividends as well. We talked about tonight's show is going to be about how do we invest in a pandemic? How do we as future wealth generators invest during this third wave of the COVID-19 Delta variant? How do we invest in this downturn in the stock market in the middle, should I say at the beginning of hurricane season? Let me say this on the outset. The second thing that I may say may be a little controversial, but I'll explain. And then, you think about it. Anytime we talk about anything on this channel, we tell you to do your own due diligence. But let me suggest this: with everything that we've seen in the markets, with everything that we've seen in our economy, I think these next three things that I'm going to say probably will be very applicable. I think, number one, if you're taking notes tonight, write this down. I think all of us should create a 1-year emergency fund. I think we ought to have at least a 1-year emergency fund. I know sometimes, we've said in the past, and I've heard other financial gurus say that we should have at least 3 to 6 months of our income in a savings. But after seeing what we've been through with COVID-19, I think all of us at this point, especially us family, we should be working on a 1-year emergency plan, emergency fund plan, that we have at least 1 year's worth of finances that will be able to sustain us no matter what happens. Even if we undergo in our country a data attack and all of the banks are hit for a certain amount of time. Number two, I think you ought to just pay the minimum on any debt you owe right now so that it can help you establish that emergency fund. What I mean by minimum debt, say for instance, you got a credit card and you owe $2,000 on it. But monthly, your monthly payment on it is $80, and you've probably been paying, $300. I think, and maybe I would suggest, and maybe you should think about it as it pertains to your household, at just maybe doing the minimum right now as we get through it. I know the other part of it is interest rates, but I just think it's very crucial if you're able to get that 1-year emergency fund. So like I said, number two may be controversial, but, in looking at different portfolios, looking at different things that I'm doing, different things that we're doing, different things that I've spoken to other people about, they thought it was a good suggestion at this particular time when they're saying there's another lambda maybe coming behind it, that you try to get that 1-year emergency fund up. And then thirdly, try to invest in undervalued stocks. What do I mean by undervalued stocks? Let's just say, for instance, and I'm throwing a stock out, not that this stock is undervalued at all. Let's say Tesla. We know what Tesla has been doing. But just say, for instance, Tesla right now had pulled back to $100. That would be a great investment to invest in Tesla at $100. That would be an undervalued stock. I want to give you this tonight before we, at the end of the show, we'll get into a couple plays of the week. But I want to give you this to put on your radar. We all talked about maybe 3 months ago, we wanted to swing trade. We wanted to make some money. We want to make some money every week. We all set goals. Some of us been hitting those goals. Some of us have missed those goals. Some of us have even forgotten about those goals that we said. But I want to put something on your radar right now. This stock that I'm telling you about, it's an OTC stock. We talked about it here on SNS probably about 9 months ago. And I told you about how I was riding the wave and I made, a couple $1,000s on this particular penny stock because the penny stock was doing so well at the start of the year, in the first quarter of the year, January, February, and March. It did very well. And then from that point to now, it's kind of stalled. But even though the stock has stalled, the company's books, even in their earnings report, have been phenomenal. They just had another check. They crossed one last hurdle before they get uplisted to the NASDAQ. Remember I told you, I said many penny stocks probably about 9 months ago don't get a chance to be uplisted to the NASDAQ. And I said this particular stock, out of all of the penny stocks that you've ever invested in, this particular stock had a great opportunity of being there. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to do your due diligence tonight. I think you have a wonderful opportunity to score big on this particular stock that I'm going to give you. But do your due diligence, and whatever your due diligence tell you, research it, rinse it, repeat it, research it again, squeeze it. But I think this would be one that you could really, if when they get uplisted to the NASDAQ, you could really score on. Right now it's at, I think it's 55 cents. That's nothing. Even if you want to park a couple $100 there, somebody may say they want to put 1,000 there. The ticker symbol is IQST. All right, I'm gonna say that again. That ticker symbol of that stock I'm talking about is IQST. Do your research on it. I mean, when we get off the call at night, take about 5 to 10 minutes, find out what you can find out on this particular stock. I'm telling you, all of the news are good. And if you really want to score, I think this will be one that you can really get across the finish line, because when they get uplisted, you're going to see a pop. And you want to get in now before everybody else get in, so that when the pop pops, you can get out of the pop and take your profits. All right. And when we talk about when do you take profits, now I'm telling you about this at 55 cents. When they get to $2.55, once they get uplisted, you get out. Leave you a little bit in there just to catch some residual, but pull your profits off the top. All right. So do your research on that. I think you're gonna like what you research as it pertains to IQST. They got a wonderful model there. All right. Another way, index funds, SNS is another way to make money. ETFs. All right. I want you to write this down. What is an ETF? An ETF is an exchange traded fund. That's what an ETF is. Before, they used to talk about mutual funds. Well, mutual funds are that of the past, and they've been surpassed by ETFs. Some people still are invested in mutual funds, but that's a thing of the past. That's almost like Blockbuster, and ETFs is like Netflix. All right. I want to discuss for a little while before we have this presentation. We're on good time tonight. It's only 8:29. We're on good time tonight. I want to discuss this other entity as it pertains to, we've been making money in individual stocks, but now I want to shift us before we get ready in another month and a half to go into options. I want us to drill down on this. We touched upon it about 6 to 8 months ago, and we kind of hit it and missed. But I want to give you all, because I want us to have the full counsel of how money is being made in this stock market. So I want to give you this thing tonight, and it's called index funds. Index funds are those funds, those ETFs, where it's called passive. I wouldn't say passive income, but passive trading. You don't really have to do much. You don't have to manage it much, because it's a cocktail. It's a cocktail of different stocks in this particular ETF, and you invest in that ETF or that index fund. There's a money manager, a fund manager that handles that fund. And then as that fund rises, you make money in that particular thing. You don't have to be checking back, looking, seeing what it's doing. You don't have to do any research, because they already got a cocktail of stocks in that. So this is another way to make money. It's called index funds. And we've been doing the stock piece, and I hope you still get your shares up to 125. But I also, as we've been seeing this downturn in the market, and the market's been kind of inconsistent, I want to give you this other piece of the pie. All right, so let me share my screen. And we'll get started here in just a second. All right. All right. So here we are. Here we are. All right. This is this is Vanguard. I want to discuss with you 7 different Vanguard accounts tonight. And in these particular Vanguard accounts, I want you. I'm gonna explain some different things about them that you will be able to see as it pertains to this. This one here is called VOO, ticker symbol VOO. This is the ETF VOO, which is the Vanguard S&P 500. All right. 4 things I look for, and I write these down whenever I'm looking at a ETF that I want to get involved in, that I want to put a certain amount of money. I may want to put $1,000. I want to put $500 over in this particular ETF. 4 things I look to consider. I want you to do your research and do all of your DD and Yahoo Finance. As you can see, that's what I did this one in. I think it's a wonderful tool that you can find out everything about an ETF, an exchange traded fund, when you're researching it. So 4 things I look for when I approach an index fund. The first thing I look for is the yield. Write that down. I look for the yield. What is the yield, Griff? The yield is what this particular ETF pays you over a year. You keep your money in there for 12 months, which is 1 year, 52 weeks, 365 days. The yield is what that particular Vanguard account pays over that period of time. So I look for the yield. The second thing I look for when I'm looking at index funds, I look for the expense ratio. Yeah, the expense ratio is the second thing I look for when I'm looking to park me some money, because I don't have time to, look at the stock, trace the stock. I just want to put it in something so that it can do it. I look at the expense ratio. So you say, Griff, what is the expense ratio? Well, the expense ratio is fees and the fund requirements, whatever fees and fund requirements that this particular ETF requires, though that you will find in that expense ratio will let you know, based on how much you make, what you need to subtract from whatever you make to cover those fees and whatever those fund requirements are. Okay. The next thing I look for is top holdings. What do you mean by top holdings, Griff? What I mean by top holdings is in this cocktail. Look at an ETF as a cocktail. It's a cocktail of a quadrille of stocks. And the top holdings are whatever stocks that make up this particular ETF. All right. An ETF is like a cocktail. It's a bouquet of stocks that are in there, and we call those top holdings. So you can see which stocks are in this particular exchange traded fund, and then you're able to see how much those stocks are weighted in that particular cocktail or bouquet of stocks. And then the last thing I look for, SNS, is I look for the fund summary. The fund summary you'll find down in the bottom when you're doing your research, and it tells you what is the main objective of this particular cocktail, this bouquet, this quadrille of stocks that find themselves in this exchange traded fund. It tells you what the goals and what the plans are for this particular ETF. So this is VOO. Again, it tracks the S&P 500. Its yield year over end is anywhere between 9 and 10%. That is a great yield. All right, so that's VOO. Another one on the Vanguard is called VTI. This is the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund. This tracks the entire stock market. So this bouquet, this quadrille of stocks in this particular VTI Vanguard Exchange Traded Fund, it will track the entire stock market. All right. The next one. This one is called VT, and you can look them up by their ticker symbols. VT, Vanguard Total World Stock Market. What this one does, this one is the biggest companies in the world. All of the biggest companies in the world are in this bouquet or in this quadrille of stocks in this particular ETF right here. All right. The next one is VYM, Vanguard High Yield Dividend Index Fund. And what this is all of the companies or a portion of companies that pay dividends. All right. And that's what you will find in this particular index fund or this particular ETF, ticker symbol VYM. Okay. The next one, VNQ. This is the Vanguard Real Estate Index Fund. All right. So, you know, this will be all of your things, commercial properties, buildings, land, shopping centers. This will be, and they're called REITs, REITs, Real Estate Investment Trust. These are called REITs. So if you wanted to get, and you wanted to get this sector, the real estate sector, and you didn't know which REITs that you wanted to invest in individually, then you would come over here and get this Vanguard, this index fund, which is VNQ, and it would have a bouquet of the top real estate companies inside of this ETF. All right. The next one is VGT, Vanguard Information Technology Index Fund. And so right off the bat, you know what this is, and look at the price on it. It's very expensive. This is what you call all tech companies. You'll have all your big tech companies, your Apple and your Teslas and your AT&T. All your big tech companies will be in this bouquet, in this exchange traded fund. And last but not least, this is VIG, VIG, ticker symbol VIG. This is Vanguard Dividend Appreciation Index Fund. So you say, well, it's two index. Well, this is one. These are the companies who over a period of time keep increasing their dividends. So what Vanguard does, they break it all the way down. Here's a bouquet of companies that pay dividends. Say, for instance, you want to invest in some companies that pay a dividend, and you're like, man, I don't know which companies pay a dividend. So you will go to this index fund, you will buy this exchange traded fund, and this one will be companies that over a period of time, they have increased and increased and increased their payable out dividend to their shareholders. All right. So this is another way that you can invest in the stock market. And it takes all of the thinking out for you. You don't really have to do any thinking. You really don't have to do much. You just invest a piece of money and you put it in that index fund. And most of those funds do well year over year. Another one I want to give you for extra credit. You may be saying, but what about energy? I want to invest in energy. I don't want to go to Shell and I want to go to Sarah. What's some good energy? So a good energy exchange traded fund would be VDE. V as in Victor, D as in Derek, E as in Edward, VDE. All right. And we don't give out homework on SNS. What we do is I want to give you all something so that we can all research together and bring it back next Sunday. I want us to look and research and find a good electric vehicle ETF, because right now, that's where the wave is going. That's where the future is going. So I think if all of us, and there's 15 of us on the call tonight, if everybody after we get off, we do our DD, or we do our stock market research homework, and when we come back next Sunday, let's kick that around before we get into whatever the content is for that particular show. And let's find out what is a good electric vehicle ETF that we could park a piece of money in, that we can really blow up from the flow up. Because I'm telling you, that's the next boom, electric vehicle. And if you don't want to kind of get into different things, your Neo, your Tesla, then let's get a bouquet. And let's get a bouquet, a quadrille of stocks in an exchange traded fund that we can park a piece of money in and watch our money rise over a period of time. All right. Well, with that said, I want to bring on one of our members. He's real big on index funds. He's been kind of touching it and quitting it and hitting it, over the last 6 months. But I asked him tonight to really deep dive into it tonight, because I think this is an area where, the stock market is doing some crazy things. And but this is an area that you may find very effective. And he's very effective. He's efficient. And he's going to be transparent tonight. I told him, man, hey, man, do you, be you. So I think you're going to like this next presentation that we have for you tonight. Hey, Kev, man, what's up, man? Glad to have you back in pocket, back in Jersey, man, from Utah. Hey, man, come on, talk to us. Kev, what say you, big bro?
What's going on? What's going on, family? So as Tim mentioned, I'm gonna go through, I'm not gonna hold this too long. I would rather, folks that are interested just, reach out independently and go through it because there's a lot of information. But Tim, let me have screen share real quick.
Already there.
All right. Let me see. Let's do this. And Tim, just let me know when you can see my screen.
It's pulling up now.
All right.
It's thinking. And we have light.
All right. All right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you guys real quick. Just what Tim was talking about. I'm invested in a different index fund within Vanguard, but I'm gonna just show you guys, my transition with Vanguard. I got turned on to them about 2 years ago, and I was doing some research, and what I was looking for was a place to park some money outside of the bank, because the banks were just, banks are just not really doing much in terms of interest and growth. So I started doing a little bit of research and stumbled onto, this Vanguard. I knew Vanguard as a company, but I had never invested directly into their funds. So what I did was did some research, some due diligence, as we call it, and I came across this VTSAX, which is a Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund. And what I'm gonna do is take you guys through, where I initially invested, and I'm gonna take you all the way up to where I'm at now. So Tim talked about transparency. We've been talking for a while. We've been sharing information. We've been trying to grow together. So I think it's only appropriate that, I be transparent in this here. Yes. All right. So let me just take you through this real quick. So on March 25th, 2019, you can see here, I made an initial investment into my Vanguard account, VTSAX, of $10,000. That was my initial investment. I knew I was going to do a little bit more, but I wanted to kind of get in stages. So I did 10,000 in March, and then I ended up doing another 10,000 later in the month. Like 5 days later, did another 10,000. And then as we scroll down here, you can see where I'm highlighting, I did another 10,000 in April. Now I knew I wanted to invest this 30,000. I wanted to take it out of the traditional bank and I wanted to put it in the Vanguard where I can get, a better interest rate. VTSAX traditionally carries a rate of 6 to 14%. That's just their average. They can do better than that. They've, historically done, 18 plus percentage at times, depending on the market. But the steady average is somewhere between 6 and 14. They usually live somewhere around 8%, which is comfortable. I'm not complaining about 8%. But as you can see, between March of 2019 and April of 2019, I put my initial investment of 30,000 in the Vanguard. When I first got into it, you can see here, the price was $69.98 per share within this index fund. The price currently is $113 per share. So I've done pretty well with it so far. As I scroll down a little bit, you can see these dividends that they actually start to pay. So they do quarterly dividends. So with the amount of my investment, my quarterly dividends average about $150 a quarter, which at the $69 to $72 price, it was enabling me to reinvest that dividend, which is money that they are giving me. I'm not putting that additional money in, they're giving me the money, it's a dividend. I'm reinvesting that. So at a price of $69 or $72, I'm able to acquire 2 additional shares with every dividend payment that I get. So that's what I was doing. And, the account just started to grow and grow and grow. And as you can see, we get down here into May of 2019, the account is still growing. But around this time, Trump was kind of messing around with China and them tariffs. And it made me a little bit nervous because the markets were starting to do some shaky stuff. So I panicked, which is a lesson that I learned because I'll never do that again because I understand how these markets work now. They go down and then they shoot back up and they go down and up and up and down. So as you can see here, you're going to see something that says sell. I got nervous and I sold all of my Vanguard. I took $750 loss because you see I cashed out at $29,250. Got nervous and cashed out. Once I came to my senses, back around the September timeframe, I said, man, you must be crazy. You better get back in there. This is after I had learned how these markets actually work. I took 29,000 and I reinvested, back into the same Vanguard fund, get myself back in. And when I bought in at a price of $73 at this point. My initial buy-in was 69. I lost a little bit, so now I'm buying in at a higher price, which is okay. All right. So I bought in and back in September of 2019. As you can see here, here's a dividend payment that came in of $133. Now I had just bought back in on September 10th. On September 13th, it was time for a quarterly dividend. Well, I was invested, so they paid me $133 for my quarterly dividend. You'll see here that my $133 was reinvested back into my Vanguard account at $74 a share. It enabled me to buy 1.7 shares of Vanguard, which is almost 2 shares. Okay. So as time progresses, I eventually added a little more money, once I saw how well that was performing, and I added a little bit more money into it. I added another 20,000 into the account. So what I'm going to show you now is, and I just rounded to 29 up to 30 because that was my initial investment. It's VTSAX. In March 2019, I started with a $30,000 investment. In April 2021, I put another $20,000 in the account because, again, this is my savings. It's not like I'm just sitting on these are long-term savings that were just sitting in a bank. And I learned that I can get a better rate of return by, putting it in this long-standing Vanguard account. So 30,000 March 2019, 20,000 April 2021 is a total of $50,000 in contributions. Well, my current balance as of today is $69,000. So that's a $19,000 increase after 2 years from my very first investment. Now, don't forget, I jumped in March, but I jumped out. So I actually reinvested in September of 2019. So it's actually less than 2 years. It's roughly, about a year and 6-7 months. So within that short amount of time, my account has increased, $19,000, and I haven't done anything else to it. I just did those 2 initial investments, set it and forget it. I actually need to start making more contributions now, but you can see how an index fund is a bit more stable. I'm not watching this account. I'm not watching it like I watch my daily stocks. I just put it over there. Every now and then I'll take a peek on Yahoo or Google and just to see what VTSAX is doing. But I just put it there and let it grow because it's going to give me a steady, about 8%. So that's the Vanguard account. For those that are interested, like I said, we can talk offline because, it requires a little bit more information in terms of how to get things set up. But I'm going to show you guys this real quick. Let me just open this up. And I've gone through this before. Let me see if I can get it to come up again. Let's see. This is just the compound interest calculator. Let me see if I can get it to come back up. Might not because my machine, there we go. All right. So this is a compound interest calculator. I had talked about the rule of 72 probably some months ago to the group. And basically what the rule of 72 is it's a calculation to determine how long it'll take your money to double. So if you put $1,000 in the bank at a rate of 8%, you basically would do 72 divided by 8 is going to give you 9. So it'll take 9 years for that $1,000 to actually double at a rate of 8%. Okay. Now that's real stuff. Now, how can we prove it? We can go to the calculator. We can start with $1,000. We can put the 9 years in. We can put a rate of return of 8%, and we're not going to contribute anything else to it. All right. And what we see up here at the top, can you guys see this? It says your estimated total is $1,999 after 9 years. So the rule of 72 works. It's a real thing. We just proved it by calculating the numbers. Your math is not going to lie to you. But if you would put the same $1,000 in the bank, okay, over the course of 9 years, and we're going to do that 0.001% that you get in the savings account, and we're going to see that after 9 years, your estimated total is going to be $1,000 after 9 years. So your traditional bank is just not giving you the, the rate of return to actually grow your money, which is why I took my money out of the bank and transitioned over to the, to the Vanguard account. One of the other things that the Vanguard account will do for you, I'm just going to show you guys here with the compound calculator. We'll just use a simple number of $1,000, and we're going to say over a 10-year period of time. If you were to put $1,000 in your bank, okay, over the course of 10 years, at the bank savings rate of 0.001%, and you were contributing $100 a month, all right, after 10 years, the estimated total is going to be $13,000, all right? Starting with 1,000, doing $100 a month for the next 10 years. By putting your money in a Vanguard account and getting an average 8% return, that same type of frequency is going to get you $20,287. So this is just a little difference in how the money works. This is why I'm in the Vanguard account, because I can get a much better rate of return. It's a safer bet. It's not like I'm in and out of the stocks with the day or swing trading, which I enjoy, but this is a safeguard for me, So if my day trading stuff isn't working, I know that my steady 8% within that Vanguard account is going to keep me whole. And as you guys can see, again, I was very transparent with this. These are real numbers. Now, it should be higher than this because I should have been contributing more money to it. But I've just been lazy, and with COVID and everything else going on with work, I just haven't been focused on it. So I have to get myself back into it and do some automatic distributions is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have it automatically come out of my check, so it funds the account for me, because this number should be much higher than what it is, right now. So, but that's all I wanted to share, family. Hopefully this stuff makes sense. This is real stuff. The math doesn't lie. And, for those that are interested, just send me a text, and, I could walk you through how to set it up or answer any other questions that anybody might have. Back at you, Tim.
Good stuff, Kev, man. Real good stuff. Let's just open it up for questions, man, while we got you on the horn, and while I'm here. We 8:53, we got 7 minutes, so we're on great time. Any questions as it pertains to index funds? We, like I said, before we get ready in another month or so to go into options, we really wanted to deep dive. I know we've been hitting and missing it, so we wanted to really give you this other piece of the pie as it pertains to index funds. Any questions tonight?
Tim, let me ask Kev.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Kev. Sorry I missed you guys. The Vanguard account, is that like a bank itself, or is that a particular stock?
No, so Vanguard is it's a financial institution that's been around for a long time. They've got a long history of institutional investing. So they've been around for a while. So it's a brokerage house is basically what it is. But they've been around so long that I've done the research. But like I said, I've been familiar with Vanguard. They're actually one of my customers at work. So I've been familiar with them for years. And like I said, I had just never had any private investments with them. But once I had done some research, I'm like, okay, these guys are, they have a pretty steady rate of return. So it's not like your traditional, commercial bank. It's an investment institution. And the Vanguard funds, like this VTSAX that I'm invested in, like Tim had mentioned, they basically take, a lot of companies, and they basically cram them into one particular stock, and that VTSAX is the index stock or fund that they created. So you're basically getting a yield, from all of those different companies, and they do an average, so that's how they come up with that number. So you might see, well, is Apple in there? Well, yeah, Apple is in there. Well, how come the stock doesn't match what Apple is? How come Tesla's actually in there too? How come it's not 700? Because they don't do it that way. They buy fractional shares of it, is what they do. So they buy fractional shares of those companies, and they bring it all into that one index so that they can create an average price, and as stocks start to increase, that average price that they create also increases. So that's how I've gone from $69 on the initial investment, all the way up to 113, per BT.
Thanks much.
Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. You have any other questions, man? You can always give me a call. I can take you through it. But this was just a much better vehicle for me than just leaving that money in the bank. Because 2 years, put it this way, y'all, I'm not sharing my screen no more. If I had left the 50,000 sitting in the bank where it was a year and a half to 2 years from now, where we are right now, it would still be 50,000, but instead it's 69,000. And I'm happy about that, because these red stocks, man, on the day trading and swing trading, they beat me up a little bit, but that Vanguard account, it's keeping me whole.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, you talking my language. This is Roz.
Hey, Roz.
Hey, got one question for you. Now, what is the price? How much do they charge you to manage this fund?
Yeah, the ratio on this one, Roz, like I said, I did the research on this. The ratio on this is like 0.4%. I think it's $4 per thousand or something like that. We could talk offline. I can take you through the website and we can share it, and I can help you calculate it, because what I like to do is make sure that people that get involved in this stuff, they don't just do it because I'm doing it. I want to make sure that anybody that wants to get involved in the index funds actually understands it, actually able to do the math, actually able to figure out, those ratios, because you might find a fund, I might set you up and then you leave me and say, hey, Kev, I done found another one, and I need people to be able to do that math and say, oh yeah, the ratio here is very low. It's this much per $1,000, but the fees are very low on the VTSAX, which is the one that I've been invested in for the last couple of years.
Okay, great. I'd like to do that. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Kev.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. First of all, thanks, man, for being transparent. That was extremely helpful. And matter of fact, it's good to finally see who you are, Doc, because I've never seen your picture before, so I was wondering who was Kev.
I've been on camera before, man, but usually my lighting is jacked up. Look where I'm at now, man. I'm downstairs. I got a light back here, so I usually let Tim be the superstar on the thing. So I can't even tell if I'm coming through clear or not. But
well, my lighting is jacked up too, man. But it's all good.
All right.
But listen, I remember you guys mentioning this Vanguard, man, some months back, and I was very interested. But I don't know what happened. We kind of lost it or somewhere, or maybe I lost it. But definitely want to make that investment, man. So if you could put your phone number, I think I put it in the chat.
Yeah.
For us to get, make some contact with you, man. I'm definitely interested in that. Because I wanted to use even my church. I wanted to do something with my church to be able to put something there and just let it sit for an investment, So definitely want to do that. But thanks again, man. I appreciate your transparency.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. We're trying to grow together. And like I said, I'm 51 years old, man. So that's long. It's it's a little long-term savings. So I've been saving and sitting for a little while. But once I realized that these banks and I even tried a couple things with the bank, and they would set me up with some type of special rate, and they say, oh, well, we can get you 2.5, but it's for a limited period of time, and you gotta put it in this type of special account, and then it's going to expire. But then what happens when it expires is, what they don't tell you is, the account they put you in comes with all these types of fees. Yeah. So now if you don't do any type of transactions, because they want you to be putting that money in and out of that account, I'm saving the money. I'm not trying to use it. But if you don't use it, they'll be charging you anywhere from $25 to $100 a month, but they don't tell you that when they say, well, we can get you a better rate. Vanguard, they don't do any of that. It's stable. You put your money there, you're going to get between that 6 and 14%. It's stable. So I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Loving it.
Kev, let's get your email address out there, man. Verbally put your email address out. Everybody who's taking notes, Kev's gonna give you his email address now. That way you can fire him off an email, and then you want to get set up. He have time. We'll set up a time with you, and so we can walk you straight through all of the steps. But I think it's just another great opportunity to. If you got a little dry powder that you need to make some money on, it's a great opportunity to do that, especially with what you want to do, Pastor Harper. Kev, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I put it out there. It's in the chat. So the number is 906-0904. And the email address is KGRIFFITH, same last name, 35@comcast.net. Like I said, I put it in the chat too.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any other questions about index funds, or anybody want to share anything? We right at the 9 o'clock hour, so it's about time for us to pack up and bring this particular Sunday night stocks to a close. So any other questions, any other concerns?
Tim, this is OJ. I have a question. Can he give me that email again? Is that I got the K Griffith 3, and is that B as in boy?
Oh, it's 35 K Griffith 35 at Comcast.net.
Okay. I'm going to reach out to you all because I invested in Vanguard for probably maybe 4 to 5 years ago, and it's just been sitting, and so I need to look at it. But the thing is that I don't even know how to begin. Is there any way you probably can assist me in looking it up? Because I don't have any paperwork with me, anything. I don't have a clue. So I'm kind of totally lost, and
Yeah,
is there any way that you...
Absolutely. When you call, what we could do is, I don't want to be on when they give you your personal information, but what we do is, I'll tell you the process of how to get in touch with these people. Basically, what you're going to do is call customer service, and you're going to tell them that you have an account there, but you don't have any of the information. It's been there for a long time. Shoot, you might be a half a millionaire or a millionaire by now for 5 years.
I pray so, because it's been
just give me
sitting there for years.
if that's the case. But we'll get on with customer service, and what you're going to do is just tell them that you have an account, you haven't touched it in a while, you haven't looked at it, and they're probably going to ask for your your name and your information and your social. That's the one thing that they ask for, is your social security number, and they'll be able to pull your information up, and then they'll be able to set you up with the with the online access if you don't have that.
Okay. Okay, good. What is a good time to reach out to you during the week?
During the week, usually anytime after 4 p.m.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
OJ.
Oh, what's the weather like in New York, man?
It's nice and cool now. We're in the 70s. We have a little cold front coming through. Yeah. So it was jacket weather, but it feels nice because we had a scorcher all the way up until Saturday, which was the last day of the heat wave. So it's cooling off.
All right, cool. Good stuff. Any other questions? Any other concerns? We got a few more minutes. All right. Well, Kev, hey, man, good job on that. Family, like you said, you got the information. You want to reach out to us, reach out to us. We'll get you set up. You got Kev's information. Anytime after 4, you got his email, set up different appointments. He'll spend some time in it. He is our index guru for Sunday night stocks. And he's taking all of the bumps and the bruises so that we don't have to take the bumps and the bruises. He's taking all of the licks and all of the cuts so that we don't have to take all of the licks and the cuts, and just put us in position so that we're able to win. I've got a play for the week. Just want you to look at this particular ticker symbol. It's Zimber Biomet, ticker symbol Z as in zebra, B as in basketball, H as in Hector. I like that stock because one, it's a blue chip stock. It deals with hips and knees. Well, right now, everything is focused on COVID. A lot of emergency surgeries and different things like that have been put on the back burner because of the simple fact that COVID has really taken over our hospitals in the U.S. But as soon as COVID get down, hips and knees are going to come back to the forefront. And, like I said, I've always tried to get us in front of those waves, so that when everybody else pile in, we ready to come out, because we already been there. When they drive the stock price up, we take our profits and run, and then we're looking for the next big thing. So with that said, if we don't have any more.
Can you repeat that's ticker symbol again?
Yes. Ticker symbol Z as in zebra, B as in basketball, H as in Hector, Zimber Biomet. That stock deals with hips people who need to have replacement hips, and people who need to have replacement knees. And that's big business. So, and it's blue chip. You want to be able to have some blue chips to your portfolio. That holds you up when we see in times like we are thus far. Okay. See Harper Baker on there. All right, I'll give her a call. All right. Yeah. So any other questions, any other concerns before we get ready to go?
Thanks for watching. Subscribe now. See ya.